Hola!
Hola! Hello! We are home in America. We are sitting outside of our house right now, actually, so you might hear a little bit of ambience noise of cars or bugs, but it's lighter out here and it looks better out here, so that's where we are. We're so happy to be home, but we just wanted to hop on and give you a little update about our time in Peru. We just got back not too long ago and had spent a good basically 5 solid days in Peru, in Lima, Peru, with the church, and we wanted to make sure that we took the time to send a video to our supporters, whether it's financial or prayer, just all the people in our lives that have been supporting us through this trip. We're so thankful for you because this trip would not have been possible without you. So yeah, we're really excited and just wanted to update you a little bit about some of the things that we saw and the things that we learned and that God showed us and the ways that God showed up, which was some amazing things that we're going to tell you about. And also, we might miss a couple things, so we're going to put in an email too a few more detailed things maybe and pictures and things like that. And of course, contact us if you have any questions about anything that we're saying or you want more details on anything. We'd love to chat more about our trip.
Yeah. So the first thing we wanted to talk with you all about was our experience with the Peruvian people as a whole. One of the biggest things that stuck out to us initially was how welcoming and open-armed and embracing these people were. Within the first, not even couple hours that we were there, Milena, one of the girls that we were staying with, she called us family, and she genuinely meant it. And
Familia.
yes,
They speak Spanish in Peru, in case you didn't know that.
familia.
Familia.
And that was the case with each and every Peruvian person that we interacted with. Was they were very embracing, and we became family to them. And so now we very genuinely believe and say that we have family in Peru. And we love that. It's something that is hard to come across here. At least that's been our experience. And so to just see that so tangibly
In America,
and so,
yeah, it's not necessarily like everyone doesn't jump in and help everyone necessarily. Sometimes there are great pockets of people that are very good about being family for one another. But sometimes in America, if you're not blood, then people are just friends with you and might help you here and there, but they're not family the way that we saw the Peruvian people really embracing us.
Right. So, and it even blew our minds that even though our skin looks different than theirs, and even though we don't speak their language and we sound ridiculous when we tried to speak their language, they didn't care. They loved us because we were people, and because they knew that we were people and they were people, and that's all that really mattered. And so to experience that warm embrace and them seeing us and embracing us as family was truly mind-blowing. Yeah, that was the big thing. I think the other thing, too, was realizing the fact that they saw each other as family. I mean, obviously, if they're accepting us as family, then really they saw each other as family, too. Regardless of what their backgrounds were, regardless of where they're coming from, they saw each other as family and treated each other as family. And, yeah.
Numerous stories of the people in the church would talk about abusive families they came from or families that just cut them off and were not necessarily supporting them either, however you support your family in many ways. And it was beautiful to see the church pick up the slack on that of like how much they just support each other in the way that a family would.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing that blew my mind was how content they were. For people that had literally close to nothing, at least when you look at what we have here, like they very content because they have people around them. They have people that they see as family, and that's all that matters to them. And so that was just so shocking to me to witness that, to see that, and for them to really embrace that. Yeah. Do you have anything else to add for that?
No, I don't think so. I mean, for me, some of you know that like I had the opportunity to go to Peru. I went to a smaller part of Peru, Tacna, Peru, about 14 years ago. So going back was pretty surreal for me. But again, like the same kind of experience I had back then of like it just being a really amazing experience to see that the way that the Lord moves over in Peru, and the way that they just share and exude love and joy in everything that they do. And I just feel like it really gives us a lot to check ourselves on and step back and look at our own lives and how we live and our attitudes towards things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So this next part we want to talk about, like, personally, deep down, what this experience was like for us. So if you see some tears, that's okay. Just warning you ahead of time that this. So, in a nutshell, God moved in some incredible ways that there's words cannot be put to explain like how incredible it was. Really, for both of us,
Mm-hmm.
together, individually, it was just incredible. I think one of the biggest things for me uh, was my own faith being strengthened. And what I mean by that is that God used us and used the Peruvian people uh, to speak certain things to us, to communicate to them, and through that, things were being confirmed for them. People were being encouraged through that, and it was the sort of thing where like there was an instant reaction, instant connection to things that we felt God was telling us to share with them, and people having things spoken to them years ago that were now confirmed because of what God was communicating through us and to them. And the other way around, they were speaking things over us that God was communicating to them that just really hit us at the core
Mm-hmm.
of our heart. And so I think in that process, my own faith was deeply strengthened uh, because of that. Um, yeah, that was the biggest thing for me.
And the way that the church looks, I think.
Yeah, that was the other thing that we were talking about was I feel like God really gave me a clear picture of what the church body as a whole, not each individual church institution, but the church body as a whole, what the church could look like, what it should look like, and really what it needs to look like, in the sense that, one, we talked about this earlier, but they were a family. They saw each other as family. They saw the community around them as family.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't care what your background was, what kind of things you had been through, what your skin color was, what language you were. They were completely accepting and embracing as a whole, and they truly lived out what it meant to love one another, which is really what we should be doing as the church. And so that was huge to me, was to be able to witness that and see that as someone coming in there. It just blew my mind. And for them, relationships was the essence.
Mm-hmm.
Relationship was the main priority. And so for them to engage in those relationships with the adults, the teenagers, the children of that community, again, regardless of their background, and in and through those relationships, identifying needs and going out of their way to meet those needs,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what it meant for them to sacrifice themselves to meet those needs. It was really inspiring, really moving, uh, and God definitely used that to show that to us of, hey, this is what the church could look like. People are doing this, they're
Mm-hmm.
living this out, uh, and that was just really inspiring.
Yep.
Yeah.
So personally for me, I actually wrestled a lot with how much I was going to be able to tell all of you, only because it is really personal for me. But I just feel like I'm going to share it because it just um, shows how amazing the Lord really is. And really, I just want the glory to go back to Him for the way that He has worked in my life. So bear with me as I'm vulnerable with you all, just because it is what it is. So for me, some of you may know my history, some of you may not, but basically, Logan and I are married. We've been married about a year, but before Logan, when I was younger, I actually got married before, and I was married for about 5 years, and then some things happened that I'm not going to go into, but some things happened that eventually I was divorced, sadly, and that happened about 4 years ago, and then I moved to Florida a few months after that happened, from Michigan, if you don't know. And so during that whole process of divorce, it's such a heartbreaking thing. Someone once said that like there's people that sometimes can uh, look down on divorce or be disappointed in divorce, but literally no one is more disappointed about divorce than the people that are going through it. So for me, it was a very disappointing, heartbreaking time in life, and because of that and because of the relationships that I had, like, I moved to Florida and I really had no desire to make friends. I didn't want to have to relive my story. I didn't want to have to tell people who I was. I didn't want to have to talk about anything So I had no interest in making friends. I really pushed against that for a long time. Slowly, so it's been about 4 years, and like I have slowly come out of that enough that like I have friends. I do have friends, and they outside of my family. Um, and it's been, it's been a very slow process, but at the same time I know that it's something that I'm still struggling through. And I probably about 3 weeks before our trip, I actually was at church on a Sunday night, to the church we go to, City Beautiful Church in downtown Orlando, and I felt like the Lord really revealed to me, and I was telling Logan that night that like I felt like God was telling me that like I need to get to a point where I can learn to love people again. And it's not that I don't love people. I love all of you. It's just like loving them deeply, and like being able to see people for how God sees them as a child of God, and how he really just has a heart for people that is so full of love and joy. It's like when a parent sees a child, when they're doing something so like cute, or they're so beautiful, or you're seeing growth in them, like that's how God sees us. And so I felt like he was trying to tell me that like I need to get back to that place, because I still wasn't like, I want to make lots of friends and I want to just be around people. Like I've been very pulled back in life. And so in the last 4 years especially. And so I felt like about 3 weeks ago, the Lord told me like, you need to get back to a place of wanting to love people. And for me, that was a big step. Like not even like you need to love people. Like it wasn't that. It's like you need to learn how to do it again. You need to be retaught how to do this. Sorry, the screen's getting dark. It's getting dark outside, so we'll try to talk fast and get it all out. But anyway, so the Lord was telling me that I need to learn to love people again, and I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I really don't want to do that. I know I need to, but I just don't want to. Like, as a Christ follower, we're to love God and we're to love others. And I'll love you to a point, but that's it, And that's not God's desire for us, because that's not how he loves us. He doesn't love us to a point and that's it. He loves all of us. So I mentioned that to Logan about 3 weeks ago, and then literally never thought about it again. I was just like, well, it'll happen. So something happened on this trip where I broke down and cried a lot. I feel like I've become a very old woman who just tears up at everything and gets emotional when people say nice things. Anytime I saw that the Lord was working in people's lives, when we prayed over people or we prayed healing into lives and you could see the change, like I just got so emotional because I could feel for this person. And literally what I told Logan was, I could feel my heart softening. Old woman cries. Oh, but I could feel it softening, and I could feel myself learning to love people. And it hit me that like I forgot that 3 weeks ago I had that I knew that I needed to get there. And here I was in Peru. Apparently I had to leave the country for that to happen. So yeah, for me personally, this trip was huge. Personally, it was huge in many ways, but personally especially because it just really, I feel like, was the beginning of the softening of my heart from the last 4 years of it being calloused towards other people. And it's all, it's all because of the Lord, and it's such a beautiful thing that I went through these things that were difficult and seemed so hard, yet here I am, and the Lord has just been with me every step of the way. And I feel like, again, yeah, this trip was just about the Lord softening my heart and teaching me to love people back to the way that he originally intended us to, and the way that he loves us. So thank you. because of people like you supporting us, we were able to go on this trip, and that is huge. It's huge to our church. It's huge to many, many parts of our lives, and to the Peruvians there, it was huge. They were so grateful. They couldn't believe that people would take time off of work and out of their lives and spend money to come and just be with them. And it was beautiful to see the Lord work. So thank you. Thank you for supporting us financially. Thank you for supporting us with your prayers, with your love, with everything that you sent with us. We are just so grateful. And we wanted to make sure that you knew that.
Yeah, absolutely. In a nutshell, it was a very humbling trip for us. We were taught what it means to love again. We were able to be a blessing. We were able to be blessed. We were able to carry that back here and share this with others. And that's because of the support that you all gave. God was able to use that to do some amazing things on this trip. And so thank you. The last thing I will say, the particular community that we were working with there in Peru, those people almost felt like anytime people had come to visit them, it was like a one-time hit and that was it, and relationships weren't being established in the long term. And so in hearing our hearts and our desires to have that sort of long-term relationship with them, one of the last things that we had heard was said among them was the pastor had told one of the other leaders, "We're not alone anymore." And that just, it broke us down, and like, yes, we have family over in Peru. We're called not just to love our neighbors here, but to love each other, love all people worldwide. And again, it was able to happen because of you guys.
Right.
So
and
thank
that's
you.
what the church should be, is the
Right.
coming together so that no one feels like they're alone in what they're doing.
Right.
So
Right.
we're looking forward to sitting down with our pastor and the team that we went to debrief. We've kind of, like we said, we've gotten back very recently, so we haven't had a chance to do that yet, but the plan is to do it once we're back all settled into our kind of regular lives in Orlando. So we're looking forward to doing that and seeing what the future holds with this wonderful church in Lima, Peru.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Yes, a huge thank you.
Thank you. Mucho gracias.
Logan's Spanish is pretty good now.
No.
So yeah, we'll just leave in the way that the Peru's say bye.
Ciao.